So hello, and thank you for joining me for another Prepared Foods video. My name is Nick Roskelly, and joining me today is Patricia Bubner, PhD, CEO, and co-founder of Orbillion, which is a cell-cultured meat company. Patricia, welcome, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak with you today.
Hi, Nick, and thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to speak about what we're doing and the newest developments in cell-cultured meat.
Okay. Well, before we dive in, I'd like to give you the opportunity to tell our audience just a little bit about Orbillion and what its mission is with cell-cultured meat.
Happy to. So at Orbillion, we make premium products. We start with Wagyu beef. We also have lamb, wild elk, and bison in our portfolio. And we really want to bring the heritage into cell-cultured meats because it is so important to provide options for the consumers and to tell them the story from the beginning, the farmers that breed the animals, to the end, the table. So we really have a farm-to-table story for our meats and pride ourselves in making better for you products that are better for the customer, for the planet, and have an amazing profile in taste, texture, and nutritiousness.
Well, that sort of leads us into talking about some of your recent news, which is that you developed a partnership with Luton Food to bring cell-cultured Wagyu beef to the European market. I know this move is significant, and I wonder if you could talk to our audience a little bit about what kind of precedent this may set for cell-cultured proteins in the broader marketplace.
Absolutely. We are very excited about this partnership with such an established company that has the experience in the market, in the European market, but also in the global markets, and totally understands also our go-to-market strategy with premium meats, because that is what Luton Foods specializes in. And we are very much aligned in our goals to bring a more sustainable meat to consumers. And Luton is really on the forefront there. This is the first of its kind industry partnership of a traditional meat company and a cell-cultured meat company. And it really shows that we at Orbillion are a meat company. And that's the field that we will be playing in. And I think this sets an important precedent for the global market and the way that we need to think about what the consumer wants, how we can get the products to consumers, and to partner with the industry that has the experience that is often not there in early stage startups. So for us, it was a very natural move to partner with Luton Foods because we align so much in how we see the meat market, but also in how we can envision building the future together, where we can give the consumers what they want, which is better for you meat, healthier products that are more sustainable.
Well, in talking about moving into new marketplaces, I know this is a big move here for moving into the European market with this specific beef product. We have seen some suggestion that cell-cultured meat could enter the U.S. market sometime next year, maybe middle of next year, maybe late next year. Who can really tell? But it is going to happen at some point. And I wonder if you could talk about a little bit about how you see that rollout unfolding in the U.S., perhaps through what channel it might enter, food service or retail or some combination, and just kind of, and you might not have the answers to this yet because you're going through a process now in Europe, but I wonder if you could talk a little bit about entry into the U.S. market for cell-cultured proteins.
Absolutely, Nick. And while our partnership with Luton is focused on bringing our product to the European market, we actually look at the global market. We have a very scalable technology platform that allows us to really bring our products to the entire world, given the right partnerships. So the US market is definitely something that's very interesting, not only for us, but it is to the consumers. We've asked them, we've actually asked over 4,500 consumers globally in 5 different countries. And we realized that nearly 80% of consumers are very interested in buying cultured meats. And then also with the recent move of the Biden administration to support biomanufacturing and also name cultured meat as one of the important pillars in food security, I think that's something where the US needs to make a move very, very soon. It's actually overdue because otherwise we will be left behind. So speaking to that, I don't know when we will see cultured meats in the market in the US. I have some estimates, but we all know that it's a process that takes time, and that is fair. I just hope that we will see these products in the market soon. And to which channels? I think food service is the first channel to go to for two main reasons. One of it is you can partner with very experienced chefs that know what is the taste of the consumer. How do we prepare foods for them? And to make sure that we combine a novel food product with something that is familiar, and also to see this is how you can use this product, maybe even to explore new recipes and new exciting flavors and combinations that you weren't able to do with traditional meat. So I think there's a lot of potential there to bring this to the consumer through that channel, and we will see that these products moving into retail later. We know that some companies in the space are looking into maybe teaming up with plant-based companies to make combined products. For us, we really focus on giving people an option in meat. So we make meat products, we partner with meat companies, as we do with gluten, to show that actually we have the same goals. There's no need to fight each other because we all want to do the same thing, namely selling meat to consumers. And one thing that I still want to point out there that's really interesting is that if we think about a more sustainable option that we want to give to consumers without telling them you have to eat less meat, this is cell cultured meat. This could also be something where we mix cell cultured meat with traditional meat in sausages or other prepared foods. So I think there are a lot of exciting options that the consumers will get to experience, both in new products, but also in common products that are more sustainable and have a fantastic flavor, texture, and are more nutritious.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there for us to consider in terms of addressing consumers. And one thing that I'm interested in, I've mentioned cell cultured meat just anecdotally to colleagues and to friends, and they've wondered what exactly it is that we're talking about. And I'm sure that you've come across this. There's some skepticism about exactly what this means, meat growing on scaffolding, what that looks like. And what I'm getting at is what are some sort of key messages, really from a marketing standpoint, that you are already having to address in your current markets, and that you may need to address in the US and other markets going forward?
Yes, a very, very important point. And that's actually my passion. I'm a scientist by training, right? But I'm also a foodie, and my grandparents are farmers, and I'm very close to that community. For me, it's always important to emphasize that we are building on the craft of the past. We're building on the work of farmers that bred the fantastic animals that we now take the cells from and just produce the meat in a way similar to beer brewing in bioreactors. That is just a novel process, but it's still the same meat. It comes from an animal. That's why I always stress also it's the farm to table story, because the only thing we do is change the process in the middle that makes it so much more efficient. It makes it safer. And as you can see, as a scientist, I get very excited. I'm always like, how can I convey that to the consumers and to the people out there that didn't study for 15 years and know all these details, because I know it's safe. And that's where we partner with the regulatory authorities that work with us, that we know have consumer safety in mind. And so I think the marketing message there is really to convey that to people and say, look, we're giving you options. We are partnering with the traditional food producers, and the inputs that we're using are food inputs. And what you get is a food product, one that is very defined, very safe, very nutritious, and then can actually do so much more in terms of health benefits than we know from traditional meats. And I get very excited about it because we're not only looking at the US market, we're looking at this globally, and food security has been finally, unfortunately, I have to say, something that people talk about, because now we're realizing that we have a problem. And one of these problems is, of course, increased prices for grain. And then just imagine all the grain that we feed to animals for them to make protein for us. It's very wasteful. And we can make this a very efficient process. We can run this process anywhere in the world. We need water and energy, and some inputs for the cell culture, of course. And then we can make meat. We can make the US, we can make other companies being a producer and an exporter of meat. And this is very exciting for food security globally.
Okay, well, I mean, it's thrilling to hear that. I mean, it really is. And this might be just an expansion on what you've already talked about, but we've seen some estimations that the industry is positioned for some rapid growth here in the next couple of decades. And I wonder if you might be able to expand upon a little bit about what is going on the supply side in terms of efficiencies and so forth that are really sort of critical to setting and maintaining this pace toward increased growth by mid-century.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, this is a technology that has been around for decades. But really recently, we were able to make this technology so much more efficient. And especially at Orbillion with our platform, we can get much more yield out of the bioreactors than anyone else can. And this is very exciting. So one part of it that we need is the technology. Check, we have this. The second part is, of course, we need the influx of investment in order to hire people, build facilities, and that's also one of the reasons why we partner with other companies. We partner also with CDMOs that help us to expand our manufacturing capacity. So making sure that we have enough capacity for biomanufacturing is very important. And we really also see that that's something that we ask the government to support, as we've been seeing that in Europe, as we've been seeing that in the Middle East and in other countries. So in investing in this infrastructure and supporting the companies by that will really help us to accelerate. And for the other parts in supply chain, of course, energy and water is important. We also will have an exciting announcement on how we will be the first company to making water positive beef, which is possible by, again, partnering with new technologies. And then part of the supply chain that we already have is the inputs that we need for cell culture. That's really very standard food grade inputs that are, right now used by other industries. So that's something that is already set up. The other part is how can we make sure that if we talk about the US, for example, we can create jobs. And one other exciting thing is there that from studies that are out there, 96% of the jobs that are currently in meat manufacturing will be retained. Because guess what? We'll also make meat. And there is a lot of workforce needed to make these meat products, distribute them, product formulation, and all of these types of things. So the things that we're looking for there are really mainly the facilities and the environment to scale this.
Well, that's interesting to hear because I am again I haven't had the opportunity to see a facility just yet, nor have I tasted the product, but I'm looking forward to doing so. But I wonder if you could just very quickly describe what some of these manufacturing facilities might look like. In my mind, I feel like they look more like a science lab instead of some of the food processing plants that I have visited throughout my career. And if you see these facilities taking, being in traditional kind of farming areas, rural environments, or will they be in urban areas, or does it matter? Yeah, could you describe that a little bit?
I love that you're bringing that up, Nick. I think that's one of the common misconceptions that people think we're operating out of labs. We are operating in food production facilities and manufacturing facilities that really, if you go into a brewery, by the way, every brewery also has a small lab because they need to analyze their samples. But we have bioreactors in there. I think craft brewing is something that people are very familiar with. It doesn't look any different. Or if you go to a winery, right? So big steel tanks that are very clean, easy to keep clean, and where you can't really scale up that production. It doesn't really look on the food production side, right? It doesn't really look any different to the production facilities that you would have nowadays, which is one of the reasons why we're also partnering with Luton and thinking about co-locating manufacturing and things like that, because it's something that there is an existing infrastructure that we can use. So I hope that helps a little bit. This is really just a different process of making the meat, but then you just have a meat product. And I think depending on the volume of the bioreactors that you have and the infrastructures that you have, both could make sense. Having it in rural areas and or having it closer to urban areas. Thinking of, for example, if you have it in a rural area, there is a shorter just path for the supply chain for the inputs that you need. And you probably also find a lot of capable workforce depending on the area that you're in. And then for the more urban areas, the advantage there would be that the transport to the distribution would be shorter. So I think, in the next decades, we will see a variety of different sized facilities coming up that can have different sizes and can be in different areas. And I'm excited about it because just imagine you then get elk from the Middle East, which is really not a thing so far. And there is maybe even craft bison from the Midwest, because there's some small production facility that specializes just on that. There are so many exciting opportunities in the future that we're even just beginning to explore here at Orbillion.
I like thinking of it that way, the sort of different levels of sophisticated products that may come out, or specialized craft products that come out. I really like that thought. Switching a little bit to sustainability, which I know is a sort of a bedrock idea behind your business and behind this industry. I wonder, we cover aspects of upcycling quite a bit these days. It seems that most industries have some waste stream that another industry can turn into something else. And I wonder, just since sustainability is so critical to your brand and industry, if there is an opportunity for upcycling, not necessarily for your own business, but for another company to use some of the waste stream that you may generate.
Yeah, that's a very interesting idea, Nick, that we've thought about extensively because, of course, everything in ways that we can upcycle, reuse, make into a different product is absolutely interesting because it reduces the cost of the product in the end as well and is more sustainable. So one of the things that we can envision is when you grow cell cultured meat, you grow the cells in what we call is a nutrient dense media. It's a liquid solution similar to Gatorade. I wouldn't say similar to Gatorade, but you can envision it. It has vitamins, it has sugars, there's all the things that the cells need to grow in food grade. And that's something that after the process, the spent media still has a lot of amino acids in there and a lot of potentially very nutritious and beneficial products. So this would be, in my mind, similar to a broth or something that can be used either for human consumption or maybe even in pet food, where we know there's a lot of need also for these amino acids and for these nutrients for the pets that we love so much.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I have several other questions, but I feel like we should perhaps leave it there for now. This is a fascinating subject. I'm so happy to learn more about it, and I know we're going to continue to cover it well into the future.
Anytime, Nick.
Sure. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you, Nick. It was my pleasure. And I look forward to the next time we speak and we have some more exciting news.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks again to Patricia Bubner at Orbillion for sharing some thoughts about the present and future of cell-cultured meat. And thanks to you for tuning in today. If you'd like to view any other prepared food videos about food and beverage industry trends and innovation, please visit www.preparedfoods.com.